the Yu-Gi-Oh! Super Budget Tier List. If you guys aren't familiar with my channel, hi, I'm TheCaliEffect. Subscribe. And if you guys are, then you know that periodically I make a budget tier list consisting of Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies that you can get for around $100 and speaking on how competitive they can be. But this tier list, a little bit special. The super budget tier list is for the beginning player, the brokey, or just somebody not trying to spend a lot of money on the game right now. I've comprised a tier list of strategies that you can get for $40. Back in my day, I used to tell them, do you want the trip to Denny's or do you just want the $40? I told that to my family of four because 4 of the French toast slams were $10 each. I didn't have it. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. The super budget tier list. Again, the criteria is really simple. I comprised a list of a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks that cost $40 and less. That is about the exact same amount as a modern day structure deck because they no longer cost $10. Everything has went up in price. And today, I'm gonna be ranking them based on how strong they can be in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Now, of course, for some of you guys, I did not mention your strategy. I actually combed through last week's rogue tier list and got a ton of these strategies from you guys. So if you guys want your strategy to be represented in the next tier list, which I think we're going to be talking about the meta decks post Duelist Advanced, go ahead and let me know down below. But with that being said, let's go ahead and start off by talking about Argo Stars. Argo Stars had a ton of hype, and if I remember correctly, it does get some support from Duelist Advanced. Strictly speaking, on its state right now, Argo Stars is not an amazing deck. At best, it's one of those weird Master Duel stun annoying type decks, but in the TCG it gets completely blown out of the water because players can side for it, which they just so happen to have sides for it because they have sides for some of the most powerful decks and they coincide. Get it? I don't think Argo Stars is eating mayo sandwiches bad. That's pretty bad. I think it's functional, but it has a very low ceiling. Argo Stars are not the worst Yu-Gi-Oh! Investment to pick up, mainly because the strategy is still getting more support. And since it's a trap monster deck, it is boosted by some of these other trap-based Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks that does make it stronger. Next is Dinomorphia. Big dogs, we have said this for the longest. This is probably the best $40 Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy you can get in the game. While it isn't wowing the entire competition right now, this is a deck that is still consistently topping events. It's a strategy that in certain formats, it's really, really good, and it's always gonna be pretty cheap. I suggest if you guys are in the spirit of winning and like dinos, this is probably the strongest version of dinos that you can get, especially if you like fusing. Dragon Ruler. Somebody mentioned that I didn't have this on the rogue tier list. It's because this deck's pretty budget. The Light Dragon Ruler being the most expensive card for the deck, and last time I checked it was about $4, which is roughly over 25% of the deck when you play 3, but still, everything for Dragon Rulers is cheap. You're probably wondering, if you pull Dragon Rulers in Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem, how powerful is this deck? Well, it started off really strong coming out of the gate, topping national level events, and even nabbing a couple of regionals. I would say that it's a good price / deck. Dragon Rulers lack the functionality to be a consistent budget threat, with his best boards being floodgates like Arclor Christia, or even the rank 7 Dragon Ruler monster. It kind of fails in comparison when you compare it to some of the better decks in the game. Regardless, it's still a really good deck for its price. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, yeah! If you guys have not seen the Duel Challenge where Top Deck TJ plays ABC, it is chef's kiss, a masterpiece. And I also believe that I put a Dragon Ruler deck profile on CaliEffect clips. Go ahead and check that out as well. ABC as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy, well, the best thing it has going for it is the song. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I put ABC in eating mayo sandwiches is mainly because the cards themselves, the new monster X Cross Cannon is almost exactly what the deck needs, until you realize that its spell equivalent forces you to play another brick. The Y and Z new Dragon Union cards also leave a lot to be desired. And if we're being honest with you guys, while the cards are decently strong, there are even more bricks inside of your deck. And if you decide to make this deck at its best, which is playing something like Fiendsmith, then you're no longer playing a $40 budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Now, Eldlich, this was another budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck that I made. Eldlich actually got some pretty good support in Alliance Insight, a new fusion monster that can summon Eldlich the Mad Golden Lord or Eldlich the Golden Lord himself, and even a trap card that allowed you to be able to reuse those banished Golden Land and Elixir cards. The strategy also gets some more secret support in Duelist Advance, and if we never get around to making a regular budget tier list for that particular format, then I gotta say, Eldlich is it's a pretty solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I'm not expecting Eldlich to win any national championships like Dragon Rulers, but I am expecting you to get a lot of bang for your buck. The entire core is maybe $10. You can't go wrong with a deck like that. Gladiator Beast, Grandpa Callie's favorite. Huh? What? Huh? Did somebody say Gladiator Beast? I remember back in the day, Gladiator Beast reigned supreme. And then a Yu-Gi-Oh set with more support came out and made Gladiator Beast reign supreme. I'm misremembering things, aren't I? Gladiator Beast might actually be a decent Master Duel Yu-Gi-Oh deck when it comes out in Master Duel in a couple of weeks. But if we're talking about actual gameplay for this deck, it's also eating mayo sandwiches. Gladiator Beast is kind of like ABC. It has this one colossal combo that if everything goes right, you probably could win unless your opponent's playing board-breaking cards. But if anything goes wrong, your girlfriend breaks up with you, your opponent has a hand trap, heck, they can even fart at the end board, the deck might just fall apart. Gladiator Beast and ABC are the result of getting modern support, but making the deck even more of a glass cannon. I would strongly suggest that you guys stay away from those strategies because they're not winning strategies in the long run. Eating the mayo sandwiches, not a good one. Me personally, I'm a syrup sandwich type guy, but let me know your struggle for Cyber Dragon. What I like about Cyber Dragon is the dichotomy of this deck. You can get this entire strategy for about $20, but if you really want to be that guy, you can spend thousands of dollars on the exact same cards. I don't know nobody that did that. Nah. I think Cyber Dragon is a French toast slam for 4. And boy, was I wrong about that new support. Cyber Dark Worm, oh my god, it's a masterpiece. It's exactly what the deck needed. Giving the deck another Cyber Dark card was secretly a blessing. And then there's also the new Cyber Dragon Jormungandr, which is a modern version of Cyber Dragon. The card is ridiculously insane and doesn't say if you control no monsters and your opponent controls a monster, you get to summon, just if your opponent controls a monster. It's Nightmare Corruptor Ipoli time. No, Maybe it's not bad. A lot of people were upset that I didn't put Hero on my Rogue tier list, and it's mainly because it can be a super budget deck. I think the only expensive card is Elemental Hero Shining Neos, the big fusion guy. Not the regular guy, like the big one from Power of the Elements. This deck is unproven but decent. Heroes aren't like bad or anything, they're just not good. And what I mean by not good, I mean that the new support has made this deck go everywhere. Heroes remind me of that guy in front of you in the grocery store handing a $50 bill off and expecting change in quarters. It's just an awkward situation. Or maybe he asks for like, I don't know, like 5 $2 bills, a $10 bill, 4 Sacagawea coins and something like that. It is the most awkward thing about it. I mean, like, it's still $50 and it still works, but I mean, awkward. This deck unfortunately goes in every direction except for the way that keeps it consistent, functional, and the ability to be able to play through disruption cards at the drop of a dime. Heroes have probably gotten the most support out of any Yu-Gi-Oh strategy to show the least forward. And it's unfortunate because heroes are pretty decent as an archetype in whole. Now Purrely's actually not bad. I actually put it above unproven but decent. While Purrely doesn't have all of the accolades that you would want inside of this format, it actually does have a couple of national tops, a couple of regional tops, but this deck is really hard to play. On surface level, Purrely does look easy, but there's so many intricate play lines and thoughts and things that you can do. It makes it a very complicated deck. So that would be my only pause for this particular strategy, because of its skilled gameplay, you're gonna need to invest a lot more time than you probably would want to make yourself a great Purrely player. Same thing for Red Dragon Archfiend. It's a crazy strong deck, but you gotta you gotta put it's easily right here, right? It's a French toast slam for 4, right? Like $40 right there, you're cooking. But unfortunately, because you know the small brains don't know the strategy, I gotta put it in functional but low ceiling. Yeah, it's there. I mean, it has nothing to do with us not having any good functional Dark Dragon Synchro monsters that Soul Resonator could do. It has nothing to do with us having Resonator monsters that are all tuners, meaning that we can search all our tuners, but when our non-tuners come around it's a problem to certain hand traps. It also doesn't mean that our board ends on a Nibiru token. Nope, Black Atlas refuses to acknowledge any of those things. You can't tell me nothing wrong with this like turkey neck and collard greens, bro. Let's just move on. 6 Samurais, I can tell you everything wrong with this deck. 6 Samurais are almost like Gladiator Beast and ABCDEFG, except I would give it a better pass. This deck can set up some pretty solid negations. The only problem with this deck is that its ceiling is not that high. In Skull Servant, getting new support is actually, hey, that's pretty good. Getting those reprints, I mean, hey, that Skull Servant should be phenomenal. It's just, yeah. My boy Zarek is probably gonna kill me for putting a Skull so low. And the person that actually asked what are my thoughts on Skull Servants, it's a very fun, casual Yu-Gi-Oh deck that is really cheap. But as far as like it being that deck, Swordsoul is definitely a strategy that fits the functional but low ceiling Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Ever since Baron de Fleur has been banned, there's been nothing great going for this deck. While we do hope for more worm support, which will eventually make Swordsoul better, right now it doesn't have the board that it can make to be able to be a physical threat in the game. I actually just made a Jirak deck profile, and boy, that deck, I'm gonna put it in good price Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's a really fun deck to play that has the ability to be able to break boards because of how Dinos is, and reading Miscellaneous Eras does a thing. And it also can play 5 Nibirus, which if you guys didn't know, newsflash, Nibiru might be an okay card right now. If you guys want to see how I made that budget dinosaur Yu-Gi-Oh deck, go ahead and check out that video. It was really fun to be a chef for one quick second. And if you guys want me to continue on my chef series, let me know. Somebody wanted me to share my thoughts on Shadol. This deck is crazy. Like, in 2020, Shadol support has definitely aged poorly. I mean, I think even when Shadols were one of the better decks, the support wasn't that good. This deck doubled down on the flip effect mechanic without any real way to be able to gain the effects on your turn. It's a strategy that's definitely eating some mayo sandwiches right now, but I think it's a few cards away from being competitive. I mean, it still has Shadol Fusion. That card is always a card to watch out for. For 3 structure decks, you can get a Trap Tricks Yu-Gi-Oh deck and Chris Hansen at your door. Just playing. Maybe. I mean, some of the Yu-Gi-Oh players, they definitely deserve Chris Hansen at their door, whether they're Trap Tricks players or not. Trap Tricks is one of those Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that actually is functional and consistent. It builds a pretty good board, and I'm actually stuck. I think that it's a little better than functional but low ceiling, but I don't think that it's actually on Heroes type level good, or some of the other decks that I'm going to put in unproven but decent. Trap Tricks is in that really weird spot where so many other Trap Yu-Gi-Oh decks does their job, but just simply better. Overall though, it is a solid plant Yu-Gi-Oh deck that if you mix with Ryziel down the line, can actually be stronger than almost every deck on this list. But that's probably because of Ryziel. I would say that Ice Barriers getting the new monster, I think it's called, hold on, let me check. The new card, Ice Doll, actually does something for the deck. It makes it a little bit more consistent by giving you water spellcaster monsters to your side of the field, which is needed to get the combo going. Unfortunately, I would put Ice Barriers in unproven, but a decent Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's not necessarily a terrible strategy by any means. It's just not gonna wow anybody out of the water. When you do get your Lancia Ancestral Dragon, you can outright win the game. Like, seriously. It's just sometimes getting to there is a problem, especially through interruptions. Raid Raptor. Yeah. Bro, I remember when I was on that Raid Raptor train. This deck is summoned the new Raid Raptor Rising Rebellion Falcon. I think that's the name. Rank 13 or bust Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Yeah, that's the epitome of boom or bust, which is basically A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Gladiator, Beast. Like it's come on, dog. Let's be real. A Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that at bare minimum requires 2 cards already isn't doing good in Yu-Gi-Oh. But this deck requires not only 2 cards, 2 specific cards, and then 3, 4 cards when your opponent stops you. That's not a recipe for winning good games. I think that Rescue Ace is an unproven but decent Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It has all of the tools to be one of the stronger decks in the game, and resolving Rescue Ace Turbulence really does put your opponent in danger. It's a solid Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that's actually due for some support very soon, so I wouldn't be surprised if it climbs higher or even gets more expensive. Crystal Beast actually has something good going for it. The best Crystal Beast monster, the Snake Eyes Fusion, that came out a couple of sets ago. Yes, we're back to crystal bashing, guys. Eating mayo sandwiches. This deck's just not good. Tempai Dragon used to be one of the most fierce decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now it's weird that I just put it as a decently priced Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. The ban list has definitely drained a lot of sustenance from this deck. Hitting cards like the Field Spell, Sengen Summoning, Sengen Kaiman, and also your Chandra. This deck's it's kind of that boom or bust territory. Ironically, the Dragon Roller version of Tempai Dragon may be the strongest version hands down. Black Wings aren't a bad Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I would put them under functional but low ceiling. They make some pretty good combos and can play through interruptions a lot better than Raid Raptors. Their inboard just is, just crazy. Black Wing's inboard is potentially a worse Dino inboard, where Black Wing Dragon, the super version of it, can nuke the board if it has 4 black feather counters, and then you summon some other cool dark monsters. That's about it. Ignister is also getting more support in Duelist Advance, and this support's pretty solid. My only problem with this is that for Ignister, all of the support that it seems to get seems to be Secret Malice support and not Ignister support. I mean, the deck got some really solid cards, and unfortunately, the deck did not show up. I think that Ignister is heading to the right direction. We just need some hits to Malice for the deck to be able to shine. And that pretty much goes to any generic cyber support. Nekroz, I tried my best, guys. Right now, I'm putting it in eating mayo sandwiches. This deck is cheeks, man. Maybe it's what I'm doing with the deck. But ending on a Nekroz Unicorn, cheeks. Ending on the new guy, cheeks. Going second and attempting to break a board, cheeks. Like, holy crap. This deck is like House of Cheeks from the Boondocks, bro. All I see is ass. To be honest, it actually makes Dark Roll look like a really good deck, because when Dark Roll gets rolling, you win games. Your problem as a Dark Roll player is just getting hard countered, and that's going to happen, naturally. Branded, in my opinion, is still one of the better budget Yu-Gi-Oh strategies, but I think good price Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I think the big problem with Branded is that it's power crept. Genuinely, like, this deck it's strong. It still has all of the style and everything. It's just better Yu-Gi-Oh decks. If Branded Fusion ever did come back to 3, maybe we would revisit this. Maybe it would be French Toast Slam for 4, but it's not as strong. Branded players are gonna crucify me for this, but you guys have been power crept. Goblin Bikers. Oh man. Yo, for a deck that's $10, this deck's not bad. To be honest, I think I'm gonna put it in unproven but decent. I think this deck's okay. Goblin Bikers are probably best served as an engine for other rank 3 Yu-Gi-Oh strategies, but they do come up. It comes up in spots where Exceeds are dominant, like against Ryzeal. It's a very solid counter-picking Yu-Gi-Oh deck that's also really cheap. A lot of people are wondering why I didn't talk about Melodious, because I mean, come on guys, this is the king of budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks. I think this is one of the only Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that has more tops than Dinomorphia in the exact same time frame, and it's incredibly cheap. Like, all of your Melodious cards are common, I believe. Now, there might be some supers or stuff like that, but this deck is literally $5 plus the hand traps that you play. Ritual Beast has completely fallen off of a map, and it doesn't need to be studied. We know why. Power creep, charmies, nib, stuff like that. But it's still one of those decks that's really solid. If you're building it and you're building the Arc Nemesis line, being able to call light or dark is still very relevant in this meta. Ryuji. yeah, buddy. Yeah. No. Yeah, Ryugi is like a really bad Yu-Gi-Oh engine at best. It plays Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza in the main deck, so I gotta give it some love, but it just seems to be everywhere. Memento is hands down the best budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck you can find. People bullied me into this by telling me this deck is budget, even though Mimatolian, the big guy, Teclecula, is $25. Kind of checks out. Everything else is pretty cheap. Actually, this is the strongest deck on the tier list if we're going to consider this deck budget. Hands down, anybody jumping into the game, Memento, straight up. And lastly is Marine Cess. Yeah, big dog, I'm going to put it in functional but low ceiling. It's a 1-card combo hand trap Yu-Gi-Oh deck that unfortunately other 1-card combos hand trap Yu-Gi-Oh decks do a little better. like melodious. And that's all that I have for the super budget tier list, our very first super budget tier list. And while I have your attention, big dogs, my brokies, get the best sleeves for your budget. Raven Wing, these are the hands down #1 sleeve for the #1 brand. And if you guys want to support the channel by also getting premier sleeves, go ahead and check out TheCaliEffect.com and purchase your sleeves today. We also have other amazing things like bats and even more accessories coming soon, so stay tuned for more. If you guys have an idea for another tier list, go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. I genuinely can't wait to do more tier lists like that, but until then, go ahead and check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.